Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Christy McKenzie. I am the Assistant Coordinator of Neighborhood Services with the Department of Senior Services in Erie County. I'd like to welcome you to the 2020 Virtual Elder Law Day Summer Series. This series will run every Wednesday through the end of September. Please visit erie.gov/ELD to register for any upcoming sessions. A few things, this presentation will be recorded, so you can find it on our site at a later date. Also, you feel free to ask questions during this session. They'll be addressed at the end if we have time. You can use our Q&A panel off to the right-hand side. Please refrain from submitting any personal information. I would also like to take a minute to thank those individuals who have helped make this summer series possible, including our County Executive, Mark Polenkars, Karen Nicholson, the CEO of Center for Elder Law and Justice, and our Senior Services Commissioner, David Shea. Please allow me to introduce our guest speaker, Lindsay Heckler. Lindsay Heckler is a supervising attorney at the Center for Elder Law and Justice, where she manages the agency's response to nursing home and long-term care policies and regulations, as well as other issues that impact older adults and vulnerable populations. She is also a certified ombudsman. Ms. Heckler is an advocate and resource for information pertaining to long-term care issues for residents in nursing homes, adult homes, and their families. Welcome, Lindsay. I'll turn over the presentation to you.
Great, thank you. So before we begin, I do have to do our standard disclaimer. The following content is for informational purposes only. It is not to be interpreted as legal advice, and the specific information is not necessarily applicable to your specific circumstances. So to give everyone a roadmap of where we're going today, is going to devote some time to the hospital setting. So many people, when they go to a nursing home, either for short-term and also long-term care, they usually arrive to the nursing home from a hospital. It is not often that folks go from their community home to a nursing home. Typically, something that what happens is an incident or medical event happens in the community. Person goes to the hospital, and then from the hospital, they go to the nursing home for short-term rehab care. So I'm going to focus a few minutes on the hospital. The majority of the presentation is going to focus on the nursing home. So what can you expect as a new resident or patient within the first 48 hours? We're going to discuss the importance of care planning and discharge planning, briefly touch upon involuntary discharge, and we're also going to discuss what's called the GIMO standard, which in short is improvement is not a standard for Medicare coverage. And then we're going to wrap up with some resources. We do have a lot to cover. I do have a hard stop at the hour. So if I don't get to any of your questions, please type them in. After the presentation, I'm going to make sure to go through them all and then put together a FAQ to answer your questions, and they will be posted along with this PowerPoint, as Christine said, at Erie County's website. So first off, your rights as a hospital patient. The biggest theme and takeaway from this presentation is this: you have the absolute right to participate in your care. For better or for worse, healthcare in our country is a business, and that's not a political statement, that really is a fact. We are consumers of a product, and that product is healthcare. So if we want to get the best care possible, we have to participate in our care. It doesn't matter if it's with your primary physician, a specialty office, hospital, or nursing home. We need to speak up, and we need to be active participants. And with that does come some responsibility. So specifically to the hospital, from the moment you enter to the moment you leave, be involved in your care. If you're unable to be involved in your care, a best practice tip is before something urgent happens to you, work with your families and friends to designate really a point person to be your advocate, to be your voice. If you could go to the hospital under an emergency situation. I included in the slides the link to the Department of Health Hospital Patient Rights booklet. This booklet includes a lot of information ranging from the patient's Bill of Rights to making decisions about healthcare, details what a healthcare proxy is and the importance of that. notification to Medicare recipients, other healthcare insurance to pay for your care as well. Please go review that booklet. There's a lot of good information there. Um, Also, this is also important. You have the right to participate in your plan of discharge. So included with this is knowing your options for discharge. So for example, ask the medical care team at the hospital, the discharge planner, is the nursing home the only option? Could I return home? Am I eligible for some Medicare home care services? While Medicare in general does not pay for long-term care and supports, Medicare can cover part-time or intermittent skilled nursing care and skilled therapies. Medicare, just so everybody knows, and this is really for a different conversation, Medicare does not cover what's coined as custodial or personal care, such as if you need assistance with bathing, dressing, or toileting. But again, ask, is the nursing home the only option? Would I qualify for at-home inpatient care where the therapist comes to my home, as an example? You want to know, what are my risks to returning home? What does that look like? Again, you want to participate. You are your own expert. The hospital, unless the physicians and care team at the hospital have worked with you before, they only know what's in front of them with the record in front of them, even with electronic medical records. They only know what's in front of them and what they have access to. You are your own expert. You know what your physical and financial limitations. You know if you have family at home to help provide your care, friends in the neighborhood who would be willing to come to your house and help you with your recovery. Let the discharge planning team, your care team at the hospital, know that. Know that your preference is to either go home or to a specific nursing home for short-term rehab. Now, it might not always be possible or safe for you to go home for your care after a hospital stay, but unless you do not advocate for that, it cannot happen. So you are your expert. You have your own expert on your how you feel and what's in your home and community, your supports. Participate in your care at the hospital. Ask questions. Asking questions will likely improve your health outcomes, and it really does help you become a better partner in your care. If at any time you feel like you're having trouble being involved in your own care and planning, ask to speak with the hospital's patient advocate. Most of the hospitals in Western New York have a patient advocate on staff. They are there to help you and answer your questions. Do not feel bad asking questions. That is your right, and you are part of that care team. So the hospital to nursing home for short-term rehabilitation. Again, you want to work with your discharge planner, and hospitals are required to provide you with information about the local nursing homes in the area. But again, you want to be an active participant in your care. So you don't necessarily want to rely on the discharge planner. Do your own research if possible. There's websites such as Nursing Home Compare that rates nursing homes from a 1-star to a 5-star, 5-star being the much above average, 1-star being the much below average. Go to those websites, research the nursing homes in your area. You could also see things like the staffing levels. If possible, pre-COVID, we would recommend folks to send a friend or a family member to physically visit the potential nursing home. With COVID, that's not possible. So there should be no issue with you calling the nursing home to ask questions, and also visit their website. Also, during the transition, even in the age of electronic medical records, nothing is 100% guaranteed. So you want to ensure that your hospital records are sent with you to the nursing home. You also have the right to ask for a copy, and you have the right to review that and make any corrections that you feel need to be made to your medical record. It's a couple important things to make sure are accurate. The physician orders for your immediate care when you're sent to the nursing home, and also your medication list. Sometimes a hospital will take you off a medication you are routinely taking and put you on a different one, for example. That might have caused some adverse effects like cognitive issues. Having your current medication list or medication list before the hospital and your medication list of what you're on while you were at the hospital is important to making sure that you are on the proper medications, and it also helps the nursing home medical team understand what your care needs are moving forward. Some specific COVID-19 considerations. Under executive order, no hospital shall discharge a patient to a nursing home unless that nursing home has first certified that they can properly care for you. In addition, no hospital shall discharge a patient to a nursing home without obtaining a negative test result. Now, prior to COVID, it was always the responsibility of nursing homes to only admit people they could provide care and services to. However, that quite frankly has not been properly enforced, in my personal opinion. But now the nursing home has to certify it can provide you with your care. In addition, you're going to be tested for COVID prior to going to the nursing home, and you have to have a negative test result. Other communications with the severe restrictions on visitation to nursing homes and also adult care facilities. In my opinion, they're a bit overly restrictive, but that's for a different conversation. So you want to make sure that if you have a cell phone or a tablet, you bring them with you to the facility with the chargers. If possible, label the cell phone and tablet with your name. Have a loved one take a picture of these devices for what they look like. When you enter the nursing home, make the administrator aware that you are bringing these with you in the facility. This way, if they get broken through no fault of your own or they go missing, you have documentation you brought that in. Also, with a working cell phone, you'll be able to communicate with your family members and friends outside the nursing home in the event the nursing home has to close visitation because COVID has re-entered their facility. Also, consider, is your community physicians, specialists or primary, are they willing to still be involved in your care at the nursing home to provide background on your medical needs so that the nursing home knows more about you? Is there a point person at the nursing home for communication? So if you or a family member have questions, is there a designated point person to call? Is there a designated point person to set up visitation, whether it's virtual or in person? Ask. In the nursing home, they should be willing to, and in the majority of cases, they'll tell you. Also, as part of a new law that was signed by the governor, New York State has new requirements for pandemic emergency plans. So by September 15th, every nursing home has to post their pandemic emergency plan on their websites. Check out the nursing home's website. Is it on there yet? Ask the nursing home, when are you expecting it to be put together? Because these plans include a communication plan where they have to update families of residents who are infected. So currently in this pandemic, it's COVID, at least once a day if the resident's infected, and then upon a change of a resident's conditions. The pandemic emergency plan also has to have an infection protection plan for staff, residents, and families. So this includes, for example, a plan for readmission after a resident was hospitalized with the infectious disease, so COVID in this situation. What are they going to do? Are they going to cohort residents in a dedicated unit? Or you have the right to know that, and the nursing home should be actively working on this plan. So now you're in the nursing home. What are you going to expect in the first 48 hours? In the first 48 hours, the nursing home is required to develop what's called a baseline care plan, unless they develop a comprehensive care plan, which I'll discuss on the next slide. So the baseline care plan is really your initial roadmap for your care until the nursing home has the ability to conduct a full assessment of your care needs involving you and developing that more detailed plan of care. So the baseline care plan at the minimum has to include the minimum healthcare information necessary to provide for your care needs. So this is going to include your initial goals based on the admission orders, your physician orders, dietary, therapy services, social services. When you go into a nursing home, you should be receiving services. You should not just be left there not receiving anything. You're in the nursing home to receive specific services to meet your goals. After 48 hours, the nursing home is required to provide you with a written summary of this initial care plan. If you don't receive this initial written summary, speak up. You have the right to it, and by law, they're supposed to provide it to you within 48 hours. And on our website, we included the link there. We have additional information on what that baseline care plan looks like. So care planning. So this really is the best tool to direct your care, and it has to be developed within 21 days of your admission to the nursing home. Now, many nursing homes don't take the 21 days, but the federal regulation, they technically have up to. So you could see why it's important to make sure you have that baseline care plan done within the 48-hour time frame. So by law, within 14 days of your admission, the facility is supposed to conduct a detailed assessment of you. And then they're supposed to prepare a care plan within 7 days after that. That's a long time. So that's why it's important to have that baseline care plan. So your comprehensive or complete care plan is going to be developed by a team that includes you, your doctor or the representative at the nursing home, often a nurse practitioner, a registered nurse, a nurse aide, a food and nutrition staff member, any other professional your health needs require. So for example, it's usually going to be the director of therapy and other individuals you request. So going back to the COVID consideration, if you have a physician in the community who's willing to help participate in your care and provide input on your care, you can request that they're contacted by the facility and involved in your person-centered care plan. The plan has to be individualized to meet your care needs and your goals. Included with this are your goals for discharge. I've included a link to nursinghome411.org. This is the link to the Long-Term Care Community Coalition, of which we are a member. They have a lot of great resident rights information, and the link I've included in this section goes directly to the assessment and care planning. So there will be a care plan meeting. Now, it may look different because of COVID. However, you and your family, your family, or others of your choice are supposed to be allowed to participate in this, even virtually. So again, the theme, be an active participant. And if you're not feeling the greatest, because understandably, something happened to you, you went to the hospital, and now you're in the nursing home, have your designated point person in your family or friend group be that active voice for you. Prior to that care plan meeting, you want to write down your questions and your goals prior to it. So if you had questions about your medications, you're concerned that maybe the hospital or another doctor put you on a certain medication and you're not, and you want more information. You want to make sure that if anything doesn't look right in your baseline care plan, write it down so you remember to ask it. During the meeting, make sure to use your voice and establish your expected goals and outcomes. Ask questions. This is likely new to you. For the nursing home care plan team, this is what they do every day. So if they're using medical verbiage or other jargon that you're not sure what that means, ask them to explain it, ask them to slow down. They're there to help you, and the purpose of this care plan meeting is to really put together your plan of care, your roadmap that states your goals and what services you're going to be provided by the nursing home to meet those goals. After the care plan meeting, make sure you get a copy of that care plan for review. Make sure everything is correct and that your goals and services are outlined. If it's not in the care plan, the nursing home cannot be held responsible to provide it. So if you see something that's missing, ask for it to be in the care plan. So the resident rights for discharge planning. This is a big one. This is included in your care plan. So you have the right to return home or to any other living arrangement in the community, and the nursing home has a legal obligation to help you in engaging in the discharge planning. Now, this process, many people who go in for short-term rehab do go back home with relative ease, but this is not always the case. So to avoid potentially being in a nursing home longer than you would like, and potentially for long term, you want to make sure you are speaking up, because this discharge planning process begins on admission and involves identifying your discharge goals and needs, developing and implementing interventions to address them, and also continuously evaluating them throughout your stay to ensure a successful discharge. Even if a safe discharge is not feasible in your near future, if your goal is to return home or to another setting, your care plan should note those goals and the services you will receive in order to meet these goals. I've included a link to our overview about your right as a nursing home resident to return to the community. Now that applies for whether you're there for the short-term rehab stay or you're converted into long-term care. Either way, you have that same right. So for example, the guide goes into a little bit more detail about how the long-term care ombudsman program can help facilitate discharge planning. We discuss New York Connects. So for example, if you have questions about what supports are available in the community, contact Erie County Senior Services. They host the New York Connects programs for the county. It's a wonderful resource. Also, the Western New York Independent Living Center has a program called Open Doors. Know your resources, know your rights, do your research, and speak up. So changing gears for a little bit. Now, there are only 6 reasons that a nursing home can ask you to leave, or which means they're discharging you to another location or transferring you to another location. Now, many people, when they hear this, they think, well, yeah, my goal is to go back home. This is a good thing. However, I need to go over the legal reasons first before I go into the illegal or inappropriate reasons for a nursing home to ask you to leave. So the big one, which everybody wants to hear, your health has improved. You've completed your rehab or your health has improved so that you can safely go back to the community or a lower level of care such as assisted living. 2, you are endangering others. So if the safety of others in the facility is endangered due to your clinical or behavioral status, the nursing home is allowed to move you. Same with the health. If the health of others in the facility would be endangered. Now, with those 2 reasons, I want to point out that they can be used for inappropriate reasons. So we'll touch upon that on the next slide. You haven't paid for your nursing home stay. Look, you have to pay for your care. Medicare does not pay for long-term nursing home care. So if you exhaust or do not qualify for Medicare, for example, you're going to have to make sure the nursing home gets paid, and the nursing home has an obligation to help you do that, which means if you cannot private pay the thousands of dollars, odds are you're going to need to apply for Medicaid. You have to pay for your care. Like with anything, nothing in this life is free. Number 5, your needs cannot be met. So this is where if your health has worsened and the nursing home can no longer meet your needs, you can be sent to a higher level of care. So this should mean the hospital via the emergency room. The last valid reason for transferring you is the nursing home is closed. So while these may all be legal reasons, I want to make it clear, you have the right to appeal or contest the discharge transfer. So for example, under Your Health is Improved, if for whatever reason you unfortunately lost your home in the community during your nursing home stay, and the nursing home's trying to send you to a friend's house that it wouldn't be safe for you. So for example, they have flights of stairs that you can't navigate, or a shelter when you still have ongoing care needs. You can appeal that discharge under the reason that the location is not safe. So really, with the exception of the nursing home closure, you do have the right to appeal the proposed discharge. So those were the legal reasons. Now I want to go into the inappropriate reasons. If you take anything away from this section of the presentation, take away this. When a nursing home, also known as a rehab facility, skilled nursing facility, they're all the same as a nursing home. When a nursing home is trying to send you to a different nursing home without you asking to go to a different nursing home, it is generally for an invalid reason. So I'm going to go over these invalid reasons. So just remember, nursing home, you're a nursing home A, they're trying to send you to nursing home B, odds are it's inappropriate. And if you want to stay in that nursing home A, I encourage you to appeal it. So one major reason that this is done, you need long-term care. No, all nursing homes in New York State provide long-term care. And unless the nursing home is 100% private pay, if the nursing home is Medicare certified, the nursing home is Medicaid certified. So what that means is every bed is Medicare certified for payment, every bed is Medicaid certified for payment. So while nursing homes may have designated short-term unit wings and long-term care unit wings, if you're admitted into nursing home A for short-term rehab under a Medicare covered stay, and you either exhaust your Medicare or you no longer qualify for Medicare, they can't, and they don't have any beds available in their long-term care side of things, it is fully inappropriate for them to ask you to go to a different facility. You have the right to stay, okay? So if this happens, say no, and you can appeal that. And if you have questions on that, give me a call. What the nursing home can do is once a bed opens up in their long-term care side of their nursing home, they can move you within the nursing home. But what they cannot do is move you to a different nursing home because you need long-term care or your Medicare coverage has ended, okay? So again, it's an inappropriate reason for a nursing home to discharge you on the basis your Medicare coverage has ended. Now, you're going to have to make sure you pay for your nursing home stay because discharge for non-payment is a valid reason. However, just because your Medicare has exhausted or otherwise ended is not a valid basis for you to leave the nursing home, especially if you feel that you need more services before it is safe for you to go back home in the community. Your needs cannot be met at the nursing home. So unless you're transferred to a higher level of care like a hospital, this is rarely a legal reason. The nursing home admitted you, they made a promise to meet your care needs. Sending you to another nursing home that has the same licensures and certifications is inappropriate. Remember that. Also, you're in the hospital. So this is also known as patient dumping. You're in the nursing home, you need a higher level of care, you're sent to the hospital, you're stabilized, you're appropriate to return to the nursing home. The nursing home says, no, I'm not accepting you back. This is called patient dumping at the hospital, and it's inappropriate. If that happens to you and you wanted to return to that nursing home, you have the right to appeal. You appeal it. If successful, the nursing home has to readmit you to the first available bed. And then lastly, for any reason to an unsafe setting, if you feel you are being asked to go to an unsafe setting, you have the right to appeal that. So what to do if you are threatened with a discharge or receive a notice of discharge from the nursing home? You can call the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program to learn about your rights. The nursing home, you should receive a discharge notice that explains the reason for the discharge, the location, and the date. It will also explain the appeals process. You may want to file an appeal if you want to stay in that nursing home, and you could also call our office. On our website, under our long-term care resources section, we have a detailed guide on your rights to transfer and discharge. Switching gears, Medicare covered in nursing homes. So again, Medicare does not cover long-term care in the nursing home. Medicare will pay for a short-term rehab stay, so up to that 100 days, but it won't pay for nursing home care indefinitely. Medicaid is the primary payer of nursing home care in our state and country. So a problem that I want to briefly discuss because it does come up. I'm, as a resident of the patient, I'm told Medicare is not going to cover your stay or your rehabs therapies because you're not improving. This is also known as the GIMO issue, which I'll explain. So Medicare Part A may cover up to 100 days of your nursing home stay. If you have that prerequisite hospital stay, which is prior to the pandemic 3 days, the federal government through CMS has actually waived that requirement during the pandemic emergency. Your physician orders skilled nursing or therapy services, and skilled nursing or therapy services are required on a daily basis. That's the coverage standard. However, what was happening before this class action litigation was brought? People on Medicare nursing homes were being inappropriately denied Medicare coverage because they were not improving. Medicare participants, as a result, were not receiving the skilled services they needed, typically skilled therapy. And without those skills, they physically declined, and also Medicare is not going to pay for that short-term stay. You have to receive skilled services in order for Medicare to cover it. The biggest issue with all this, nowhere in the federal regulation does it state there is an improvement standard for Medicare to pay for your care. It does not exist. So as a result, the Center for Medicare Advocacy and Vermont Legal Aid and a private attorney and a private law firm, they brought a class action settlement where Glenda Jimmo was one of the named plaintiffs, so it's called the Jimmo issue, and the federal government agreed to settle, or CMS settled. So the Jimmo settlement is a clarification of the Medicare coverage standards, and this is what Medicare does cover. Nothing has changed. CMS just agreed to clarify it. This has always been the rule. So Medicare will cover your skilled therapy services in a nursing home and also in the community, by the way, if an assessment of your clinical condition shows the specialized judgment, knowledge, and skills of that qualified therapist or nurse are necessary for the performance of a safe and effective program. This is big. This includes a maintenance program that is used to maintain your condition. So unfortunately, if you have a condition that you're not going to get better, you met your highest level, but you still need services to maintain your level, or to prevent or slow further deterioration, such as the case, unfortunately, with Parkinson's. In other words, the proper standard is a skilled professional needed to ensure care is safe and effective. Is a qualified nurse or therapist needed to provide and supervise the care? If yes to both, then Medicare will cover the services regardless of whether that skilled care is to improve, maintain your current level of function, or slow deterioration. Again, improvement is not the standard for Medicare coverage. If your medical provider feels that you can benefit from skilled therapy services and it is safe, Medicare should cover that care. So recommendations for responding. When a nursing home approaches you and says Medicare coverage is ending. Now, is the Medicare coverage ending because you exhausted your 100 days? Or is Medicare coverage ending because you're not improving? So you want to confirm, did Medicare actually deny the coverage? Or does the nursing home believe Medicare will deny the coverage? You have to be provided with a written notice that Medicare is not going to pay. And that written notice will include the date the coverage is going to end, the reason for the termination, and a description of the right to appeal. I've included a link to the Center for Medicare Advocacy that led this class action. They have what's called an expedited appeals fact sheet. Please review it. You can also call our office if you have questions. During this, as you appeal the denial of coverage, you want to continue to advocate for skilled services, because even if your appeal is successful, if you did not receive the skilled services during your appeal, there's nothing for Medicare to pay for. It does not do you any good to sit there in bed, not receive any services, for an administrative law judge or a contractor to say, yeah, Medicare will pay for that, but then you don't receive the services. It's useless. Advocate for continued skilled services. If this means working with the staff to develop a new plan of care with smaller goals, such as you want to be able to walk a few steps to use the bathroom, you need the skilled services to be able to regain use of your fingers, as an example. Work on that, advocate for that with the care plan team at the nursing home, and also if you have any outside physician support, advocate for a revised plan of care. If you need help with that, contact the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. They are resident advocates and they can get in contact with you. Also, we're here to potentially provide free legal representation for the Medicare appeal and to answer your questions. So where to turn If there is a complaint, and again, I apologize, I'm going through this pretty quickly. Best practices, if something's bothering you, if you have a concern, try to bring it to the appropriate person at the nursing home. So for example, if you have a concern with your food, ask to speak with the head of dietary and nutrition. You have a concern with nursing, ask to speak with the nurse unit manager, the assistant director of nursing, the director of nursing. Try to bring up your concern early on. Don't let it sit and fester because you're not going to be able to explain your concern in a productive manner. Bring it to the attention of staff. You also have the right to file what's called a grievance, or really a formal complaint with the nursing home themselves. This is a relatively new requirement. Residents have always had the right to file a complaint, but with the updated 2016 nursing home federal regulations, they really fleshed out the resident right of a grievance, and on our website we have a link. So for example, when you file a grievance, the nursing home is required to provide you with a written response. Always request a written response. The written response has to include the steps that the nursing home took to investigate your concern, provide a summary of the findings, a statement as to whether the grievance was confirmed or not confirmed, and any corrective action taken. Now, while every grievance or concern may not be resolved to your satisfaction or at all, you have the right to know what was done in response to your grievance. And if you have a concern that was addressed properly to your satisfaction, whether it's a dignity issue, care issue, whatever the concern is, that's great. And if the concern keeps, that resolution moves forward, that's also great. However, if the complaint is not resolved, you can then have that written response from the nursing home to take to another entity, such as the Department of Health, such as the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program, such as the Attorney General. So always ask for the written response. You have the right to it, and I encourage everybody to go on our website to look at that resident right in more detail. The Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. If you have a question on your rights, you want assistance in advocating for a potential issue, call the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. They are nursing home and assisted living resident advocates. You can reach them by calling for the Erie County one at 817-9222. To be clear though, they investigate and act to resolve your concern, but they are not the enforcement entity of the nursing home law regulations. That is the Department of Health, and the Department of Health is the entity responsible for investigating complaints and incidents at nursing homes. It is the Department of Health that has the ability to issue citations and fines and potentially revoke a nursing home operator's license to operate. The Attorney General, before the pandemic, their Medicaid Fraud Control Unit investigated and prosecuted abuse and neglect of residents in nursing homes. During the pandemic, they have also been tasked with investigating complaints where family members and others were not properly notified when their loved one unfortunately contracted COVID, or others in the facility contracted COVID. So the Attorney General also investigates that. In response to the pandemic, they have created a new dedicated hotline, and I've included the number on this slide. Also on this slide, we have an overview about the different entities to turn when you have a nursing home concern. I encourage everybody to go through and read that. So in a bit more detail, the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. So the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program is an advocate and resource for people who reside in long-term care facilities. So this is nursing homes, assisted living, adult care facilities, and family-type homes. To be clear, this includes short-term nursing home stays for rehab. It does not matter if you're expected to be in a nursing home for a week, a month, 2 months, year, longer. You have the right to speak with an ombudsman, and you have access to the program. Use it. Ombudsmen are resident advocates. They help you understand and exercise your rights to quality care and quality of life while you're in the nursing home. Again, regardless of whether you're there for a short-term stay or long-term. If you need help with trying to coordinate and arranging for safe discharge to the community, or you need answers to questions that you're not getting. Ombudsman or resident advocate that may be able to assist you. Also, with your permission, Ombudsman can participate in your care plan meeting. So if you don't feel that your needs are, or you don't have the ability to fully speak your concerns and what your care needs are, you have call the Ombudsman program. They may be able to assist. With your permission, they can speak on your behalf and make sure that your concerns and wishes are known to the care plan team at the nursing home. Again, it goes back to we have the basic right to participate in our care. It is up to us to do that. If we don't speak up, staff, whether they're in a nursing home, hospital, or elsewhere in the community, they're not going to know. They can't read your mind. We need to speak up, and the Ombudsman program can help empower you to do that, to use your voice. And I've also included, if anybody's watching this presentation, either today or in the future, who aren't in Erie, Niagara, Cattaraugus, or Chautauqua counties, I've included the information to the state office of the Ombudsman program so you can look up who your local ombudsman is. So resources. This is for a different presentation, but I did want to briefly touch upon it and just make sure folks were aware of what information is out there to them. So again, Medicaid, not Medicare. Medicaid is the primary payer of long-term care services and supports. While there are private pay options for home care services, that's not really feasible for everybody. So if you want to return to your community home and you're either new to Medicaid or you're interested in learning more, it's important to know your options. And again, going back to the resources to help you with returning to the community, such as the New York Connects program, the Independent Living Center, also private geriatric care managers. The longer you are in a nursing home, the more challenging it is for you to return to the community. While many people are able to return to the community within their expected time frame of care, some cannot. So it's important to remain vigilant, speak up for yourself, and know what is out there. And know what is out there, because even though nursing homes are supposed to help you get connected to programs in the community and services, they don't always have the ability to do so. So know the options. So on this slide, we've provided the link to our general Medicaid information letter. I encourage everybody to read it. It's general information. We also have put together a blog that answers frequently asked questions folks call our office with. I've also included the link to the New York State Medicaid Managed Long-Term Care Guide. There are different Medicaid coverage options for you. So there is the Medicaid Managed Long-Term Care Program. Within that, you can also do the Consumer Directed Program, where you choose who your care attendants are going to be. So when you see the commercials on TV that have been playing that say, I chose my daughter to help provide me with the care and Medicaid's paying for that, that's what the Consumer Directed Program is. Also included in that long-term care guide put out by the New York State Department of Health is some information on the program for all-inclusive care for the elderly of PACE. That might be an option for you when you're back in the community. I've also included a link to the Western New York Coalition of Pooled Trusts. That is a partnership between our office, People Inc., and KeyBank, where if you're over income for medical eligibility in the community, you may be able to take what is referred to as a spend down, so it's the amount above that income limit, and place it into a pooled trust so that you're able to have access to home care through Medicaid. So I encourage people to look into these resources. You can call our office, you can contact Erie County Senior Services, other offices of the aging if you're not in Erie County. Know what your options are, because the unfortunate reality is, until our state and federal governments come up with a way to make long-term care services affordable, Medicaid is going to remain the primary payer of long-term care in our country. Some resources for Medicare coverage. Now, this is also in addition to Medicare.gov. I highly encourage people to check out the Center for Medicare Advocacy. They have a lot of good information, as they say in their name, Medicare Advocacy. This is what they do. They provide information and resources to recipients of Medicare services. So check out their website. They have a nursing home or skilled nursing facility coverage checklist. They have a checklist overview for that expedited appeal we talked about if Medicare's denying your coverage. They also have a Medicare home health coverage requirements checklist. And then lastly, they have probably more information than you'll ever want to know about GMO and the different federal directives that followed that settlement in a toolkit. Take a minute, review them. If you still have questions, please don't hesitate to give our office a call. So resources, again, and Christine can also plug Erie County services. Contact them, 858-8526. They can help you with your what benefits, what services the county can offer. So if you need home modifications, you may qualify for a service that they were offering. They still probably are offering, my apologies. Give them a call. They are, through New York Connects and otherwise, really can be a one-stop shop of information for you. Nursing home resident rights information. I've included the links to the Long-Term Care Community Coalition website, which is nursinghome411.org. We have a designated section on our website, and I also recommend the Consumer Voice. The Consumer Voice is another national organization that advocates for those who live in nursing homes, and they also host what's called the National Long-Term Care Ombudsman Resource Center. So their center, they're the ones that provide the information to ombudsmen, the resident advocates across the country. So I encourage folks to go to the Consumer Voice for those materials as well. The Western Independent Living Center, in addition to their free Medicaid application assistance program, they have a program called the Open Doors and also others, but specifically with the Open Doors program, that program is meant to assist with the transition from the nursing home back to the home or residence of your choice. So if you're in a situation where your rehab stay is not going to plan, and you're going to be there a little longer than expected, give the Independent Living Center a call. While the nursing home is supposed to make referrals to that Independent Living Center, and they usually are good at that, for whatever reason, it doesn't always happen. You have the ability, you have your voice, give them a call. Lastly, our office, just a little bit more about us. We have a free legal advice helpline, and this is for answers to your brief legal questions, so 15 to 30 minutes. The helpline is live and open, so to speak, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And you can access that by calling 844-481-0973. You can also call and leave a message outside those hours and email us at any time at helpline@elderjusticeny.org, and a licensed attorney will respond to you within 1 business day. So if you have a quick legal question that you want an answer to, give us a call at that number, send us an email at that helpline. If you are emailing us or leaving a voicemail, please remember to leave your name and a phone number to reach you so we can get in contact with you within that 1 business day time frame. Our main office, you can reach us for potential in-depth representation at our main line at 853-3087. So our healthcare advocacy unit, nursing home discharge, nursing home care issues, Medicare, Medicaid appeals, general coverage concerns, consumer, any debts, elder abuse prevention. We also have kinship care and housing. We have a lot of services. Please check out our website. Our services are free, and we're always available to answer questions. If you have a legal issue that we cannot handle, we will refer you to an appropriate entity that can potentially help you. We have a dedicated COVID-19 response webpage. So for example, on that, we have prepared a guide to all of the federal and state guidance or directives, including executive orders by the New York State Governor, that have been issued to nursing homes and assisted living facilities in New York State during COVID. We did this to provide not only you as the consumer, but others in the community with a one-stop shop place of everything there by topic and also by timeline. So if you have a question on what a nursing home is supposed to do, you can pull it up and go from there. We also have informational videos on various topics, so Medicaid, nursing home, powers of attorneys, etc. And then we also have an ongoing blog about what New Yorkers need to know during COVID. So I want to thank everybody for their time today. I do have a hard stop at 11, so it looks like we have about 10 minutes for questions. I'm happy to answer those. If there are any answers or people don't feel confident or willing to send in a question, you can always email me. I'm going to be compiling all the questions and then putting together a frequently asked question or Q&A that's going to be added to our presentation when it's posted.
Thank you, Lindsay. We do have a couple questions. Did you want to answer one or two of them, or do you want to?
Sure. I can't see the questions, so.
So the first question we have is, what is the status of the ombudsman's being able to enter the nursing home? This facility does not have a regular ombudsman.
Mm-hmm. That I can't answer because that's with the state ombudsman's office. So if there are specific questions for that, you can call the regional program, you can call the office of the state ombudsman. I know they're working on it, but I don't have any real access to that, or I don't have up-to-date information on what's going on there. Even though ombudsmen aren't physically going into facilities right now, they are still supposed to have access to every resident by phone or other virtual means. So even if a facility does not have an assigned volunteer ombudsman, for example, you can still give that program a call and they will do the best they can through phone or virtual advocacy.
Okay. And then we have one more question. With the independent living area of a CCRCs falling under Article 28, can the ombudsman address issues with residents of independent living similar to assisted living?
To my knowledge, no, but I can look into that. I could follow up with the regional office in the state. To my knowledge, no, but if that's something that needs to be more clearly defined or fleshed out through regulation or law, that's something we can look into, and I think that's something the legislature would be interested in knowing about.
Okay. And then we have a comment that this was a very comprehensive session, and thank you so much for all the useful information. So that's always good to have nice positive comments. And thank you, Lindsay. Thank everyone for joining this morning. At the end of this, there will be a brief survey that should pop up. If you could fill that out, we would appreciate it. And I also hope that you will join us again next Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Our topic will be on veterans benefits. Again, thank you, Lindsay.
Thanks.